Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. Second hour kicking off right now on this final day of March 31st. Thanks for hanging out with us. However you're tuning in, wherever you are tuning in from. We'll get back. We got plenty more Brewers talk to hit up. So if you missed our conversation in the first hour, first off, where the heck were you? Still sleeping? Get up out of bed. We were talking last night's first loss of the season. But Kyle Harrison, I thought outside of the leadoff home run, dude was pretty darn solid, I thought, in his Brewers debut. We get the Brandon Woodruff regular season debut tonight for the Crew. So outside of health, because we all want that for Brandon Woodruff. What is kind of like your expectation or your bare minimum? For instance, finish this sentence. If Brandon Woodruff gives us this, I'd be happy. All right. So we've had a couple of you throw out some stuff in that. So hit me up. All right, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can join in on the YouTube chat in section 105. Also, what was your thoughts on the reported extension contract, I should say, new contract for Cooper Pratt? You know, of all the infielders, of all the shortstop that the Brewers have in their farm system, in their minor league system, it kind of felt like maybe Cooper Pratt was the odd man out and maybe going to be some trade bait. But reportedly, Brewers will be giving him an 8-year deal worth north of just $50-some million. So, your thoughts. All right, your thoughts. 715-830-1912. Or, again, hit us up on the YouTube chat. So, plenty more Brewers chat to get to this morning. We've got some Badger basketball, the women's team, their WBIT run officially over with after falling to Columbia yesterday. The Badger men's hockey team going to be in action, the Frozen Four, on Thursday. We've got some spring football stuff to be talking about. So RJ Cardinal will be joining us next hour around 8:20, 8:20. To talk about all that. It is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So, what's grinding your gears? What is grinding your gears? All right? Get it off your chest. Also, give me some sports confessions. What are you confessing? It's like a feel-good Tuesday, or I should say a feel-better Tuesday. It's a feel-better Tuesday, all right? What do you got to confess sports-wise? And what do you got that you want to get off your chest from a Grind My Gears standpoint? It is also I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right, I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Best ones, I'll read up on the air. Nick says, still a chance to go 161-1, 4 solid innings, maybe giving up 1 run. Are you talking Woodruff for that? I want Woodruff expectations for this season. They're Nicholas. So, C-Bomb says, is it not insane that they're throwing tens of millions of dollars to these kids who haven't even played in AAA? I get why they're doing it, but holy smokes, has the landscape of contracts for baseball changed? It's wild. It is. And yeah, it definitely is kind of hard to maybe imagine and such, but I also feel like this is, and we talked about it, I think, and a lot of people kind of mentioned it around the Jackson Churio deal, that maybe this is the way for the Brewers to be able to compete. You know, we see a little bit with the Braves. They've done similar stuff to this. Other teams have kind of done similar stuff to this where it's risk. Throwing a bunch of money at an unproven talent, but you're hoping that risk turns out to be a huge bargain, kind of like it was when they signed Freddie Peralta to a deal. Aaron Ashby, they did the same thing. Then he got hurt. Now he's kind of developed into their main go-to guy out of the pen. Jackson Cheerio. Now Cooper Pratt. I think the Cooper Pratt one is a little bit more surprising because, well, first, Freddie Peralta we saw a little bit in the major leagues. So we saw Aaron Ashby a little bit in the major leagues. Jackson Cheerio we kept hearing about constantly, right? Cooper Pratt we heard a little bit about, but then I think he kind of got lost in the shuffle after the acquisitions of Jet Williams and then Jesus. Like if all of a sudden, take away Cooper Pratt's name, but it was Jesus signing that deal, you probably have a lot of fans saying, all right, yeah, here we go. It was just like Jackson Cheerio again, because we've heard nothing but positive stuff, and we've seen nothing but positive stuff from playing standpoint, offensive standpoint with Jesus. Cooper it got lost in the shuffle the last year or so because they acquired Jet Williams, and we've heard nothing but great things about Jet Williams, and the same with Jesus. If it was one of those two guys, I honestly feel like there would probably be a good number of Brewers fans just nodding like, okay, yep, that's Jackson. That's like the Jackson contract. Makes sense. But with it being Cooper Pratt, a guy that I think a lot of people assume that, all right, maybe he's going to be trade bait. That was like, oh, well, what does that mean for this and that and that sort of thing? I know one name that a lot of people are kind of throwing out there and saying, what does it mean for this person is Bryce Terang. What does it mean for Bryce Terang in the near future? Now, I don't think that the Brewers are looking to move on from Bryce Terang by any means. And especially when you look at, he's arbitration through 2029. He doesn't become an unrestricted free agent until 2030. But there's no question that dollar for arbitration continues to go up. If he continues to play the way he's playing, it's going to continue to go up. And maybe, just maybe Bryce Terang is kind of the example here for Cooper Pratt. Bryce Terang, rookie year, major leagues, great defensively. Really struggled offensively. Year two, it clicked. And he has gotten better and better and better every single day. And maybe, just maybe, they're kind of hoping for the same thing with Cooper Pratt. Defense is there. And if that offense starts to click, that's another Bryce Terang. And instead of, going through kind of a similar process and maybe hoping to get it, obviously they are hoping to get him by the cheap, because Bryce Terang in a couple of years, maybe he is a trade guy. And yeah, if he continues this trend, he's going to be making bank. I don't feel like it'll be anytime soon, but, that the Brewers would move on from him. But I think a lot of that's just going to maybe depend on the emergence of Jesus. If Jesus is ready to come up and he's just raking, then maybe a guy like Terang becomes a little bit more expendable and such. Definitely interesting to watch now in the next couple of years. There's no question about it. So, all right, lots more Brewers talk, but what was your reaction on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, holy moly. Like, wow. I did not expect it to happen to 1. Like, not surprised at all. When you heard about the Cooper Pratt news yesterday. All right, give me a number on that scale. C-Bob says, Nick, I can't gauge what you just texted there. C-Bob says, for Woodruff, 120 innings, 11 wins, 3.5 ERA, 3 playoff wins. I think that would be a phenomenal season. All right, we got to take a quick break. I'm going to switch gears for just a little bit, and I want to talk some football, American football. Matt LaFleur chatted yesterday with the media at the coach's breakfast. What did he have to say about the Players Association grade? What did he have to say about his contract extension and some other things? Also, Brian Gutekunst chatted a little bit yesterday, heard a little bit from Ed Policy. So let's recap it all. All right. We'll get back to more baseball talk, but let's kind of switch gears here a little bit and talk some Packers football coming up after these quick words. Spring is here, and it's the perfect time for a fresh start and a new ride. Whether you are planning road trips, tackling some weekend projects, or you're just ready for something new, now's the time for an upgrade. And at Toyson Ford, you'll find a great selection of trucks, SUVs, and cars built to fit your lifestyle and your budget. Plus, their team is here to make your car buying experience easy and stress-free. This spring, drive something you love. Toyson Ford, your next adventure starts here. And it is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday, as Surveyor Sam has a Grind My Gears, and he's calling you out, C-Bomb. So hopefully you're listening. Good morning, DK. You know what grinds my gears? People like C-Bomb complaining that the Brewers are strategically trying to compete with the big dogs like the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Yankees for money. In a world where those franchises can afford and outbid all other organizations, small teams like the Brewers and the Twins have to be creative. The Brewers locking up young talent while still in the minors gives them the opportunity to compete for years to come. Is it a gamble? Yes. But I'd rather the crew gamble on young talent and give them a paycheck than watch them walk out the door because you couldn't afford them later. Continue to send your Grind My Gears. Also, give me some sports confessions. All right, it is a Sports Confession Tuesday, and it is also I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. We'll wait for C-Bomb's response. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk some Packs. So yesterday, owners meeting, you had coaches breakfast, media able to catch up with some of the coaches and such, and obviously one of those coaches is Matthew LaFleur. First time that Matt LaFleur has talked since shortly after the season, so haven't talked to him since his contract extension, haven't talked to him since Jonathan Gannon and Rich Bisaccia and such. So just a few, obviously he said he's happy with the contract extension and such, yada, yada, yada. But I want to highlight a few of the things because yesterday we talked about, what would be some of the questions you would ask Matt LaFleur if you were at that breakfast. And honestly, he answered some of the questions that I would have asked. And I thought a couple of his answers were like, okay, that's intriguing and nothing really like mind blowing and such. But when he was asked about getting a B- after getting an A- from the NFL Players Association report card, he commented on that and said that some players dinged LaFleur when it comes to respect for players. He said, quote, "I don't feel that way, but unfortunately some guys did. That tells me I've got to do a better job of communicating." It goes back to the relationship piece. I think it's so critical. We always talk about connected teams are powerful teams, and we have to grow that connection. Certainly, that's been a topic of conversation within our building of how do we get these guys a little closer? Because the more they know each other, I think the more they're going to battle for one another. So he also talked about later on and acknowledged that there were players that were not happy with their roles, saying, quote, "If I'm being honest about it, I think there were some guys that were upset about the roles last year, and I think that took a toll on our football team. I think from a coaching standpoint, role clarity is key. So we've got to obviously do a better job communicating with our players. Hey, here's your role, and if you're unhappy about your role, it's on you to do something about that, to carve out a role on this football team." But yeah, the buy-in is absolutely critical. Getting guys in there that are juiced and ready to go to work each day and every day is going to be critical for us. So, when he brought up, players being unhappy with their roles and such, of course, Packers social media right away went to suspect number one in Matthew Golden. But I also would say, okay, if it was him, Packers fans were probably really upset about his role too. We wanted to see more with him. So I don't think there was necessarily finger pointing like, oh, shame on you, that old shame, Matthew. Well, we're all upset about his role too, because I think a lot of us wanted to see more from Matthew Golden and such. Like, Matt, put him out there more, for crying out loud. I think, and this is, I think, a small sample size. And maybe not small. We don't know exactly, but I think it's a good reminder when it comes to, maybe those grades and that sort of thing, is that not everybody necessarily filled out that ballot or gave those grades. And maybe not everybody felt the same way as some of the players about their roles. It feels like maybe Quay Walker kind of felt like that when you look at his introductory press conference with the Raiders and such. But honestly, I feel like there's probably going to be that mindset on every team for a lot of players. They're maybe not happy with their roles for whatever reason and that. But, I'm not saying it's the most important thing that Matt LaFleur has to figure out this offseason, but I'm just saying it is a very, very critical aspect of his job that he has got to make sure that he has that locker room and that entire roster all on the same page heading into 2026. So I'm not saying it's the most important issue he's got to figure out this offseason, but I'm just saying it is absolutely one of the most critical ones. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying Tuesday. Because, boy, you don't have everybody on the same page and you have some disgruntled players or, bad attitudes, bad seeds, or guys not buying into what you're selling. You ain't going to have a very successful season. And you're going to have more obstacles than there already is. I mean, it's hard already to win in the National Football League. It's hard to win games, period. And if you've got issues with players unhappy about their roles or not being on the same page or players not buying in, you're making it harder on yourself to win those games, to have a successful season. So before any of these regular season games begin, before the season starts, training camp, preseason, when they open that thing up and everybody's in the room and they have their preseason message, you better get everybody to buy in right there. Everybody better be on the same page right there. Everybody better know their roles right then and there. And you better have a great message to where everybody's buying in. Now, Matt LaFleur wouldn't say whether those players are still on the team or no longer on the team, but he did acknowledge that his low mark was, quote, I'm sure that had something to do with it. Talking about with a lot of that said, with the roles and that. But some other stuff about his contract extension. He said that I was confident in what we've been able to do. Certainly, are we satisfied? Heck no, not even close. Didn't say heck. Just in case I know we have kiddos listening. We always want more. Until you're hosting that Lombardi trophy, you're not going to be satisfied. And even then, you're going to want to do it again. I'm certainly grateful of the opportunity. I love this organization, the city, the people, the community. But I love our players, too. Going to work with Jordan Love every day is a pretty cool deal. I think he is an unbelievable quarterback, but even a better guy. So some other things that Matt LaFleur chatted a little bit about yesterday in terms of his new defensive coordinator. Talking a little bit about Jonathan Gannon coming over and such. And the direction of going to a 3-4. He said that last year, Packers actually employed some 3-4 concepts within their defense. So doesn't feel like it's going to be a big transition and such. When he was asked about what stood out to him about Jonathan Gannon. He said he didn't know Gannon well before hiring him, so what stood out in his interview? I love the experience that he has, not only as a play caller, but as a head coach as well. Somebody that I'll be able to bounce things off of. The one weird thing that Matt LaFleur said yesterday, obviously he was asked about Rich Bisaccia leaving. And it was kind of a weird response from LaFleur, which I don't know if I necessarily buy. But he said that Bisaccia, when Bisaccia stepped down, LaFleur didn't have any direct convo with Rich Bisaccia about why he left, but assumed he wanted to be closer to his family. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I'm buying that. I mean, you're telling me that your special teams coordinator, who is also your assistant head coach, you didn't have a direct convo on why he left? You know, when Rich Bisaccia comes in and says, hey, I'm going to leave, you don't say why? You don't kind of get some of the feedback there? He did say that Rich Bisaccia gave him a list of names for the next special teams coordinator, and Cam Acord was on that list too. But yeah, I don't know if I necessarily buy that. That just no. That doesn't seem like that's a legit thing. So, tell you what, let's take a quick break. We've got some comments from Brian Gutekunst as well. So we'll take a look at what he had to say about the Rashawn Gary trade. Was he surprised to be able to get a 4th-round pick in return for Rashawn Gary? We'll tell you what he had to say, and maybe a new backup quarterback coming to Green Bay. We'll tell you about that. But we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Road trip season is right around the corner. Are you and your vehicle ready to go the distance? Before you hit the highway, make sure your vehicle is in top shape with the help from AJM Automotive. From oil changes and tire checks to brakes and engine work, their experienced team will make sure that you are ready for wherever the road takes you. And now with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire, getting your vehicle service has never been easier. Plan the trip. AJM Automotive will handle the rest. Visit AJMAutomotiveServices.com to schedule your appointment today. I've actually got my oil change scheduled today with AJM Automotive. Getting ready for that tournament travel season for baseball and such. So, before we get back to some more Packers talk, Clay says Jeff Suppan still grinds my gears. That's a good one, Clay. Appreciate that. Nick says, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying Coach LaFleur needs to take the Packers deep into the playoffs this year, or he'll really be on the hot seat. What did Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst have to say yesterday? Let's first start off. What did he have to say about Rashawn Gary? This was from Ryan Wood. He asked Goody if he was surprised that he got a 4th-round pick from the Cowboys for Rashawn Gary. Goody taking a little bit of the high road on this one. Maybe he really believes this. Saying, quote, it was tough to part with Rashawn because he is such a good player. I just think where we were going as a football team, it made a little bit of sense for us. Quite frankly, I think a guy with 60 pressures, 7.5 sacks, a guy you could kind of count on consistently like that. There's not a lot of those guys in the National Football League. He's still a pretty young player. Probably his best football is ahead of him. So not at all. We weren't going to move on from him unless we were going to get something that made sense for us. And I think where we're headed as a football team, it made sense to do the deal with Dallas. They're getting a really good player. So that was his comments about Rashawn Gary. other stuff that he had to say yesterday. Sky Moore, he said that the return game last year was not where I wanted it to be. And I'm excited to get Sky into the fold. So in terms of an update on Micah Parsons and such, said that we've invested quite a bit in him. So we'll be very protective of that investment. Said that Nate Weir, their trader, has been in constant contact with him and actually just visited him down in Texas and such and said everything is going great. He also said about Zaire Franklin that the Packers actually tried to acquire Franklin earlier. They tried to acquire him early on in his career. Goody noticed Franklin on special teams, and he wanted the linebacker then. So now was able to get him a couple of years later. So, but those were a couple comments from Goody yesterday during the owners' meetings and such. So, but also when you're talking Ed Policy, Packers president, also chatted a little bit with some of the media yesterday. Some of the quotes. This was from Matt Schneidman. Ed Policy just sat down with us, said he was, quote, shocked at the question of whether he should fire Matt LaFleur. Said players sought him out to support LaFleur. Seems very confident LaFleur and Goody are the right duo to lead the Packers to a Super Bowl. He stressed the importance, Policy that is, stressed the importance of weighing entire tenures of LaFleur and Goody rather than making an emotional decision off of one game or a few games. So I know a lot of Packers fans probably not going to agree with that. Probably going to maybe respectfully disagree with Ed Policy on that. But in all honesty, I think Ed Policy's probably got better resources and probably has better, what do you want to call it? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm blanking, but he's probably got a better inside track on that than a lot of us fans do. References. That's what I was going to say. References. He's probably got better references than maybe, taking it from some fans who, like us, are just sitting on the chair and sitting on the couch and kind of assessing it that way. But, we'll see how it plays out. Oh, backup quarterback. Want to get to this. Could Kirk Cousins be the backup quarterback in Green Bay? Brian Gutekunst was asked if they discussed signing Kirk Cousins to be quarterback 2. He said, quote, yeah, we've discussed a lot of those options. Obviously, that's a guy who's got a lot of pelts on the wall in this league, so we've certainly discussed all those kinds of things. We'll have competition with it, though, because Sean McVay very publicly yesterday saying they want Kirk Cousins. If I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm like, hey, because there was the talk about, hey, Jimmy G could come back. Maybe it's Kirk Cousins. But Sean McVay, very publicly saying, Kirk, come be the backup. Come join us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if I'm Jimmy G, I'm like, hey, if I'm not your first option, I'm out of here. So maybe that leads a guy like Jimmy G to Green Bay and such. But I threw out a poll question for our 715 Speaks poll question on the Sports Talk Facebook page yesterday. Just simply asked, do you want to see or do you think Kirk Cousins would be a good backup option to Jordan Love? Do you want to see that? Little surprised. 71% of you said no. You don't want Kirk Cousins as a backup quarterback. I should have followed that up, but I'll do it right now, and I'll throw it back to all of you that said no. And if you didn't vote, but you'd say no, let me throw this back at you. Desmond Ridder or Kirk Cousins? Jordan Love has to miss 2 weeks. Who would you rather have playing quarterback for those 2 weeks? Kirk Cousins or Desmond Ridder? Those are the two options. Or, okay, no, I'll throw a third option. Jimmy G. Jordan Love has to miss 2 weeks due to an injury or whatever. Okay? Nothing serious. but he misses 2 weeks. Those are the three options you have. Nobody else. You cannot say, they should go sign this one. I'm throwing these three names out there. Jimmy G, Kirk Cousins, Desmond Ridder. Who do you trust the most? I don't think age really factors into this, but who do you trust the most? So a little bit of an informal poll question this morning. Hit me up. All right, 715-830-1912 with quick text or chime in on that Section 105 chat room on the YouTube channel. So, all right, continue to send me your Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. Also, we're all about feeling better on a Tuesday. What's a sports confession that you want to make? All right, come on. We all have them. All right, I'm going to make my confession here coming up in a little bit. So send them on over, and also send over your I'm not sayings, but I'm just saying. We'll take a quick break, and we're going to be approaching halftime already. Flying on through on this Tuesday morning. All right, quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. With spring rolling into the area, it's time to get back outside and enjoy the season. I know we got a little snow or winter weather or whatever we want to call it coming up here, but hey, it's Wisconsin. We're used to this. But whether you're heading to the range or maybe getting ready for hunting season or just gearing up for some time in the great outdoors, Tilden Gun is your local stop for selection, service, and expertise. They offer a wide range of firearms and accessories along with a knowledgeable staff who can help you find exactly what fits your need. No pressure, just straight answers and real guidance. It's about making sure that you are comfortable, confident, and ready for your next outing. Spring is the season to get prepared, to get organized, and to get outside. And Tilden Gun is here to help you do just that. Stop on in and see what they've got in stock and why so many in the Chippewa Valley trust them year after year. Tilden Gun, check them out online, tildengun.com. It's so easy to shop up online and check out everything on their website. I've done it multiple times. Or you can stop by their awesome shop at 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. All right, we got about 9 minutes left to the top of the hour, so coming up in about a half hour or so, maybe a little less, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal, talk all things Badgers, the women's basketball team. Their WBIT run is over with. They fell yesterday to Columbia, but we are getting set for the men's hockey team in their Frozen Four game against North Dakota on Thursday. We'll hit that up. We'll talk a little football, too, because we've got some spring ball practice going on. We'll get the latest from RJ. So that'll be about 8:15, 8:20 this morning. We've got more baseball talk coming up just to kind of reset from the first hour in case you missed it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you to hear the news about Cooper Pratt getting a long-term deal from the Brewers? 10 being the, obviously, most surprised and shocked. 1 being, not really. Also, what would you be satisfied with from Brandon Woodruff this year outside of health? We all want him to be healthy. That's easy. But from a performance standpoint, what would be kind of like, all right, yeah, what would make you go like, all right, I'm good with that. That's solid stuff from Brandon Woodruff. I'd be good with that. What do you want to see from Brandon Woodruff this year outside of just him being healthy? Realistic expectation. Okay? So we'll get back to that and then talk about tonight's game with Brandon Woodruff making his regular season debut. So for a texter, no name, can't give you any credit, but we asked the question before the break. All right, if these are the 3 backup quarterback options for Green Bay, these are the 3 you have to choose. Who would you choose? Kirk Cousins, Jimmy G, or Desmond Ridder? Texter, don't have a name, can't give you any credit, said Jimmy G. My girlfriend would watch football without me begging. Solid choice. So we got a couple of Kirk Cousins. Honestly, it's probably, because everybody else just texted a name in, it's probably like 33% for each. It's pretty even, to be honest with you. We had Ben say Desmond Ridder because of his mobility, We had Eric saying, I'd be good with either Jimmy G or Kirk Cousins because they're veterans who have played for a long time, have a little bit more experience and familiarity with Matt LaFleur's style of offense. So, yeah, honestly, it's pretty even across the board at this point in time. So keep those picks coming. Keep those picks coming. Nick says, for a season for Brandon Woodruff, learn to use the space bar. I actually know you probably did. My eyes are not reading this screen well lately. Must be old age. 12-6 with a 2.90 ERA, average 5.2 innings per outing, one home run. Like one home run per outing, I'm assuming. So there's no LOL with that. There's no LOL. Come on. Don't be confident in your pick there, Nicholas. So, what? Hitting? Oh, hitting one home run? So, is that what you're saying? Hitting one home run? You have to actually be in that lineup there, bro. So, all right. Just a couple minutes left. Keep those coming. Keep those expectations coming. We got a few people with the Cooper Pratt one saying that they're at about a 7, at about an 8. Eric says that he was on an 8 because he thought for sure that he was going to be trade bait with the Brewers getting Jet Williams this offseason and with Jesus in the minor leagues. Another texter said 8 because he thought Cooper Pratt was the third best shortstop in their prospect system. Yeah, I mean, if you look at their ranking, he's their 4th-rated prospect. You know, you got Pena, you've got Jet Williams, you've got Jesus over there. So, I mean, he is their 4th-ranked prospect, but the other 3 are also infielders too. So, yeah, it seems like I'd say a lot of you just texting in the numbers, probably around a 7 or an 8 in terms of the surprise scale. Honestly, I'm probably there with you. I'm probably at an 8. And again, this is obviously they know more about it than we as fans from the outside looking in, but I'm kind of curious to see the trickle-down effect. Like, who does – obviously, I think this affects a guy like Joey Ortiz more, which I'm sure for some Brewers fans, it's not a big loss in their opinion. But what does it mean for a Jet Williams, like, when he gets called up? Or where's his future position at? Is it outfield? Is it third base? Is it second base? It's not shortstop. It'd be, if Cooper Pratt played more at third, maybe that'd be an option. But again, then you got like Fisher and Brock Wilken, who are kind of your power bats guys are at third. So, yeah, honestly, I feel like I almost feel like this raises some more questions about what this future lineup could look like. But hey, let's focus on the now. We got a 3-1 Brewers team, right? That'll let it play itself out. But it's a good conversation to have to kind of like look ahead into the future. Get your crystal balls out. All right, maybe we'll do this. Get your crystal balls out. I'm holding a baseball, so this is my crystal ball. Let's say in 2026? 2029. What does the infield look like? What does the infield look like for the Milwaukee Brewers in 2029? All right. Give me your third baseman. Give me the shortstop. Give me the second base. Give me the first baseman. Heck, throw catcher in there too. Why not? Throw the catcher in there too. We'll throw the catcher in there. That one might be kind of easier. But how do you think it's going to look in 3 years? Get the old crystal balls out, or the Magic 8 balls, or the Euchre 8 balls. All right. So, surveyor says, going back to the quarterback question, the obvious choice is Kirk. 2 games, and the man will farve it 250 to 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. But why not go out and get someone like Tyrod or Hendon Hooker or Teddy Bridgewater? Well, I think Bridgewater signed. Yeah, I think he's with Detroit. Yeah, he is. So Teddy Bridgewater's out there. Or not out there. He's back with the Detroit Lions. And Hooker is actually with the Jets right now. And then who's the other one? Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is a free agent, I think, right now. Yeah, it looks like he is. So of the three that you threw out there, Surveyor, one's a free agent at this point. So got Jim says Cousins or Jimmy G would be good, whichever we could get the cheapest. Duran Jim just got back from Fort Myers. Good to hear you again and listen to the Brew Crew. Well, thank you, Jim. Welcome back. All right. Halftime, baby. News updates. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.